Welcome back, everybody. You know what time it is. Time for another deep dive. Today, we're diving into the world of Erin Hunter's Warrior series, specifically the first book, Into the Wild.
Classic.
Yeah, a classic. It's such a fun series. You sent in some excerpts, and
Really excited to dig in.
me too, me too. And I think we're going to have to do multiple parts for this one
Absolutely.
because there's just so much to talk about. There's so much world building and character dynamics at play in this series. And you've made it very clear that you're fascinated by the clans and how this seemingly simple story about cats actually tackles some pretty complex themes.
Yeah, and it really does. I mean, we're dealing with warrior cats,
Mm.
a society that is structured around these four clans. You've got ThunderClan, ShadowClan, WindClan, and RiverClan.
It's like a whole, like a feline version of Game of Thrones,
It is.
but fluffier.
Way fluffier,
Yeah.
much cuter. But yeah, and each clan has its own distinct territory, personality, its own leadership style.
You gave us the allegiances, which is super helpful.
Oh, yes.
To kind of lay this all out, I think that's smart for anyone reading along, because even for someone who's read this series multiple times, it's nice to have a visual reminder.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
Especially, as you said, there's so much to keep track of.
Yeah, so ThunderClan is considered noble, proud. They're led by Blue Star, who's described as this wise and battle-scarred leader. And then you have ShadowClan, which is portrayed as more fierce and ambitious.
Yeah, definitely ambitious.
Ruled by the menacing Broken Star.
Yeah, Broken Star is definitely a character.
Mhm.
Right away, you get that sense that he might not be the most trustworthy,
No,
no,
absolutely.
the kindest leader.
No, definitely not. And let's not forget WindClan, known for their speed and agility on the open moorland. And then you have RiverClan, the skilled fishers and swimmers of the forest.
It's amazing how, just from their territory, they get these personalities and traits.
Yes, and right away we see this clash of cultures when Rusty, our house cat protagonist, kind of stumbles into clan territory.
Oh, yeah, he's a total fish out of water at the beginning.
Yeah. Talk about a fish out of water.
Yeah.
And he tries to lecture Greypaw, a ThunderClan apprentice, about sharing prey.
Oh, bless his heart.
It's so funny.
It's really sweet that he thinks that's how things work, but it's a prime example of how Rusty's kitty pet upbringing
Mhm.
just totally clashes with the reality of clan life.
Yeah, it's just a completely different world.
Oh, absolutely. He's coming from a place of, there's plenty of food, there's food in his bowl all the time, it's always available.
Eat all you want.
Exactly. Whereas these clans live with this constant threat of scarcity.
Yeah, and Blue Star does not let Rusty forget it. I love how direct she is with him. Her words pierce him like a blackthorn, the book says.
Yeah, Blue Star does not mince words.
Nope.
She's very straight to the point.
When she says there's never enough to go around, if you didn't live such a soft, overfed life, you would know that. Ouch.
It's kind of brutal, but it's true, and I think it's a real turning point for Rusty.
Yeah.
He realizes how naive he's been,
Oh, totally.
and it kind of shakes him to his core. And then that journey to the ThunderClan camp really drives the point home. He's surrounded by scents and sounds that are completely alien to him. He's struggling to keep up with the clan cats. And when he finally gets that first whiff of the camp.
Oh, I love that part. It's almost like sensory overload for him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The book describes it as this mixture of prey and herbs and the scent of the cats themselves. It's just this potent blend of smells that signifies his entry into this whole new world. And honestly, as a reader, you can almost smell it too.
You can. I mean, they do a very good job with the descriptions.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you have his fight with Longtail.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
It's brutal. It's a far cry from the playful little tussles he might have had as a kitty pet.
Yeah, and he really gets thrown into the deep end of clan life.
It's all teeth and claws.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no playing around.
And for Rusty, this fight's a huge turning point because it shows him that he has the strength and the courage to survive in this world.
Yeah, it's make it or break it time.
Yeah.
Sink or swim.
He chooses to swim.
He does.
Good for him. But beyond his individual struggles, I think what stood out to me is how structured clan life is. The allegiances, like you pointed out, show this very clear hierarchy.
Yeah, it's a very ordered society.
The apprentices are learning from their mentors, the medicine cat is tending to the sick, and the elders are respected for their wisdom and experience.
It's a very distinct social structure. And we see these little hints of it playing out right from the start.
Like how the apprentices are catching fresh kill for the elders.
Oh, yeah. They bring you right back to them.
Which is a sign of respect, right?
Yes. It shows that they're taking care of those who can't hunt for themselves anymore.
Yeah. And you pointed out the dynamic between Spotted Leaf, the medicine cat, and Tiger Claw.
Oh, she's such a great character.
I love her.
I love her too. And she's so young. But even though she's young, she's so confident. The way she interacts with Tiger Claw, kind of teasing him, it really shows that her role comes with authority.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of Tiger Claw, did you pick up on the undercurrent of suspicion surrounding him in these excerpts?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, his apprentice Ravenpaw is terrified of him, like flinches at every word.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something weird going on there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then there's the mystery surrounding Redtail's death.
Yeah, we get these snippets of Ravenpaw recounting what happened, and it's clear that he's holding something back. He's really afraid to speak openly.
Yeah, and when Firepaw, so Rusty now has his clan name, overhears Tiger Claw, Darkstripe, and Longtail talking. It's full of suspicion and these veiled threats about Ravenpaw's supposed treachery.
Yeah, and it really plants this seed of doubt about Tiger Claw's motives, doesn't it?
Oh, totally, totally.
Makes you think, what's really going on here?
Yeah, definitely not who he seems to be. And then there's his, like, harsh punishment of Greypaw for simply trying to feed Yellowfang. It seems excessive. It's almost cruel. And it really makes you wonder, what's driving his actions.
Yeah, it's definitely out of proportion.
Yeah. Is it just strict adherence to the warrior code?
Maybe?
Or is there something darker at play?
That's a good question, and it's one that I think we'll have to keep in mind as we delve further into the story.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of clan interaction, the gathering, it provides a really interesting glimpse into this bigger picture. Here you have all 4 clans meeting under a supposed truce. But the tension is so thick you could cut it with a claw.
It's palpable. I mean, you can just imagine these leaders perched on the Great Rock, and then, the other cats all gathered around them. It's this visual representation of the power dynamics at play.
And then, bam, Wind Clan is missing. Everyone's on edge.
Yeah, and you can feel the delicate balance of this truce starting to crack. And then Broken Star, he sees an opportunity and he just jumps on it. He demands hunting rights in all territory.
Just the audacity.
I know, right? He's totally overstepping his boundaries.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And the other clan leaders are understandably outraged. And it really highlights how even in this seemingly peaceful gathering, there's this simmering potential for conflict. And it makes me think, does this remind you of anything in, like, real-world scenarios at all?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'm thinking like political summits, international relations, the way that the clans are kind of negotiating with each other, forming alliances, trying to maintain this very fragile peace.
Walking on eggshells. Really.
Yes. I love that you said that. It's so true. And then, you have this prophecy that emerges from the gathering. Fire alone can save our clan.
Yeah, and it's delivered so cryptically.
It makes you want to keep reading.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're immediately drawn into the mystery,
Mm-hmm.
trying to decipher the meaning.
Who is Fire?
Right.
Is it Firepaw? Is it something else entirely? What does save our clan even mean?
So many questions.
Yeah. And, speaking of Firepaw, he's struggling with his own internal conflict. Along with all this larger clan drama, like his encounter with Smudge, his former housemate, it really highlights the contrast between his old life and his new reality.
Smudge represents everything that Firepaw has left behind.
Yeah.
Comfort, familiarity, safety. But Firepaw's chosen the wild.
He has, with all its danger and uncertainty.
He's forging his own path.
Yeah. What do you think? Would you make the same decision? Would you choose that wildness, that uncertainty?
It's a tough one. I mean, it's definitely tempting.
It's a big decision. And then there's Yellowfang. She's initially presented as this antagonist. She's hissing and spitting. Firepaw captures her, but she quickly becomes such a more complex and intriguing character.
She really does. And it's amazing how Blue Star decides to protect her.
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
Right. Even though she's a Shadow Clan medicine cat who's been driven from her clan, she's starving. She's injured.
Why would you protect your enemy?
That's what I thought, too. It's a really risky move. What do you think about Blue Star's decision?
I think she's got a good heart. She's trying to do the right thing, even though it's dangerous, even though it might make her seem weak to her clan.
It definitely shows a lot of compassion and trust, which is surprising considering she's the leader of a clan that's supposed to be wary of outsiders.
Exactly. And as we learn more about Yellowfang's past, especially the lies that were spread about her and the reason she was exiled, we begin to understand her bitterness, her distrust.
Yeah, she's been through a lot.
Yeah, she has. But even with all that baggage, she forms a bond with Firepaw. She reluctantly accepts his care. And she actually demonstrates incredible bravery when she risks her own life to save the ThunderClan kits.
She's such a fascinating character, full of contradictions.
Oh, totally, totally. And speaking of unlikely allies, let's talk about Ravenpaw's escape.
Oh, yeah, that's a turning point for sure.
That's a major turning point in the story. We've seen how terrified he is of Tiger Claw. The accusations of treachery, they just feel so unjust. And Firepaw sees that, and he makes this risky decision to help Ravenpaw escape, knowing that it could have some serious consequences.
He's putting his neck on the line for what he believes is right.
Yes, it's a true test of his loyalty and his sense of justice. He even lies to Tiger Claw, claims that Ravenpaw is dead, which takes a lot of guts, especially for a young apprentice.
I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is. And, this decision to help Ravenpaw escape, it has major repercussions because it directly challenges Tiger Claw's authority, and it kind of exposes a crack in his carefully constructed facade.
It's a bold move, and it sets the stage for the climax of these excerpts. The Shadow Clan attack on ThunderClan.
This battle is brutal. I mean, it's a whirlwind of claws and teeth, and it tests the loyalties and strength of both clans. And we see Firepaw's courage firsthand, especially when he confronts Clawface, the warrior who's responsible for Spotted Leaf's death. Oh, there's just this raw fury in him, this protectiveness.
You can really feel his anger and his grief.
Yeah, and then you get this shocking revelation about Broken Star. He killed his own father, Ragged Star.
That's a dark twist.
It's horrifying. And it really sheds new light on Yellowfang's past.
Yeah, you start to understand her resentment toward him.
Yeah, and it reinforces this idea that even within a clan, even within a family, darkness can fester and corrupt.
Power can be a dangerous thing.
It can. And in the aftermath of this battle, as the dust settles, we see the consequences of these choices.
Oh yeah, things have changed.
The rescue of the kidnapped kits is a moment of triumph, and Firepaw is recognized for his bravery. But there's a shadow hanging over this victory. Blue Star makes a decision that shocks everyone. She appoints Tiger Claw as her deputy.
Oh, I know. Talk about a gut punch.
It's like, no.
We know about his treachery, his ruthlessness, but the rest of the clan is celebrating him.
It creates this incredible tension, this sense of impending doom.
It's a recipe for disaster. And then Ravenpaw, he sends a warning to Firepaw. He tells him to be wary of Tiger Claw's true nature. Oh, what a cliffhanger.
I know, and we're left with this foreboding feeling, right?
Yeah.
Because we know that the conflict is far from over.
Oh, it's just getting started.
Yeah.
We've got this prophecy about fire hanging in the air. The mystery of Tiger Claw's ambition is deepening, and the fate of Wind Clan is still unknown.
Yeah.
It's clear that these excerpts have just scratched the surface of this world.
It's such a complex world.
It is.
Wow, so much has happened already, and we're only, a quarter of the way through the book.
I know, it's amazing how much they pack into just these first few chapters.
There's prophecies, we've got political maneuvering, a whole battle, and this, budding friendship between a kitty pet turned apprentice and this, rogue medicine cat. I mean, what stands out to you as, the most intriguing element so far?
I think it's really fascinating how Erin Hunter uses these seemingly simple elements like cats in a forest, a warrior code, to actually explore these universal themes that we can all relate to.
Yeah.
It's like holding a mirror up to society, but just with more whiskers and tail chases.
Right, and the warrior code itself is such a great example of that, because it's this set of rules that's supposed to govern every aspect of clan life. But as we've seen, it's not always so clear-cut. Firepaw's decision to help Ravenpaw pits his loyalty to the clan against his sense of justice.
Yeah, it's a really great example of that.
It makes you think, what does it even really mean to be loyal and honorable?
Exactly. And the code creates these moral dilemmas for the characters where they're constantly having to make these tough choices.
Yeah.
And face the consequences. And I think that resonates with us because we've all had to, we've all faced situations where the rules might conflict with our own sense of what's right.
Totally, totally. It's like, when you were a kid and you saw someone getting bullied, but you knew you weren't supposed to intervene.
Yeah.
Do you stand by and follow the rules, or do you do what you think is morally right?
It's that classic struggle between, duty and your conscience. And in the warrior's world, that struggle's amplified because the stakes are so high. These cats are fighting for survival, for territory, for their clan's honor.
For everything.
Yeah, it adds this layer of urgency and intensity to their decisions.
And speaking of honor, even Yellowfang, who's been labeled a rogue and an outcast, she embodies certain aspects of the warrior code. She risks her own life to save the ThunderClan kits, even though she has no obligation to do so.
Yeah, it's really a testament to her character.
It shows that true courage and loyalty can exist outside of that traditional clan structure.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, is the warrior code just like a set of rules, or is it a set of values that can exist independently?
That is such a good question, and it gets to the heart of what makes this series so compelling. It challenges us to think about our own values, our own sense of right and wrong, and how we navigate those gray areas, when the lines get blurred.
Right, it's not just black and white, good versus evil. It's about the nuances of morality, the struggles the characters go through,
Yeah,
and the choices they have to make. And that's something we can all relate to.
absolutely. And speaking of struggles, Rusty's decision to leave his comfortable life as a kitty pet and join ThunderClan, it's such a pivotal moment for him.
Yeah, it really is. He's shedding his old identity. He takes on a new name, Firepaw, and he's entering this world that's full of challenges.
A whole new world.
Yeah, whole new world. And it's dangerous,
So dangerous.
but exciting too.
Yeah, it's a classic coming-of-age story. He leaves behind the familiar, the comfortable, and embraces the unknown. And he's testing his limits, facing his fears, and ultimately discovering who he truly is.
Yeah, and remember his encounter with Smudge?
Oh, yeah, his kitty pet friend.
Yeah, it's such a great contrast. Smudge represents everything that Firepaw's left behind. Safety, security, predictability.
Yeah.
But Firepaw doesn't look back with longing. He's chosen this path of adventure, of purpose,
Yeah, even if it means hardship.
even if it means sacrifice.
Yeah.
It speaks to this idea of, finding your tribe, finding your community,
Yeah.
even if it's outside of outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Have you ever felt that pull? Like to step outside your comfort zone and find your tribe?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we all crave that feeling of belonging, that connection with others who share our values, who understand our struggles. And in Firepaw's case, he found that within this clan, even though he started as an outsider.
He did. And that's such an encouraging message, I think. It reminds us that we don't have to be defined by our past or our circumstances.
Oh, for sure.
We have the power to choose our own path.
Absolutely. We can create our own identity and find our purpose.
And speaking of purpose, the prophecies that are woven into the story add this layer of mystery and destiny that's just so captivating.
Yeah, they give us these glimpses into the future,
Uh,
but they're often so cryptic
they are.
and open to interpretation.
It makes you want to just keep reading.
Yeah, figure out what they mean.
Figure out what they mean and what impact are they going to have on the characters.
Exactly.
And the prophecy about fire is especially intriguing. Fire alone can save our clan.
Ooh, yeah, it gives me chills.
It's ominous, right?
It is.
Is it referring to Firepaw?
Maybe.
Or is it something more destructive?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Like a wildfire that could threaten the whole forest.
I don't know. It's a question that we're left to ponder as we continue reading. And I think it ties into that whole idea of, fate versus free will. Are these cats bound by destiny, or can they shape their own future?
Yeah. It's a question that's fascinated philosophers and storytellers forever. And in the Warriors world, that tension plays out in a really dramatic, relatable way.
It does, it does. And speaking of drama, we can't forget Tiger Claw.
Oh, Tiger Claw.
What a character.
He's so fascinating. He's presented as this strong, respected warrior,
Yeah.
but beneath the surface, it's like this darkness is brewing.
It's like a pot simmering on the stove.
Yeah.
You know something's about to boil over.
Yes, and from his, disdain for Rusty to his harsh treatment of Ravenpaw, it's like we see these little glimpses of his true nature right away.
And those glimpses just get more and more unsettling. As the story unfolds, the revelation that he killed Redtail?
Oh my God. Game
They're
changer.
total game changer. It shatters that whole image of honor and loyalty that he's tried to build for himself.
Right. And it just raises so many questions. Why did he do it? What were his motives? And what does this mean for the clan now that he's deputy?
Yeah, it's like a ticking time bomb.
It is. We know he's capable of treachery and violence, but the rest of the clan's in the dark.
It's terrifying, but also so exciting. Like you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
It's like watching a horror movie. You know the killer's lurking in the shadows, but you can't look away.
Oh, totally. And the way that Erin Hunter portrays him is masterful. He's not just this one-dimensional villain. He's complex.
Yes.
He's driven by ambition.
Yeah.
And it seems to consume him.
It does. It really does. It's a classic story of betrayal. It speaks to that, danger of unchecked ambition and the corrupting influence of power.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, is Tiger Claw inherently evil?
Oh, good question.
Or is he a product of this environment, shaped by the harsh realities of clan life, the struggle for survival?
Yeah. I mean, it really makes you think about the nature of good and evil and the forces that can lead someone down a dark path.
Yeah. And even amidst that darkness, there are these glimmers of hope and resistance.
Yeah,
We see Firepaw's determination to expose Tigerclaw, to protect his clan. And then you see the loyalty of cats like Ravenpaw and Yellowfang, who risk their own safety to help others.
they do. It's a reminder that even when things seem really dark and it feels like evil's winning, there's always that possibility of courage and resilience.
Right, that spark of hope.
Yeah, the fighting for what you believe in.
And, speaking of fighting for what you believe in, the way that Erin Hunter portrays the natural world in these excerpts is just so vivid.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's immersive. It's not just like a backdrop. It's like a character itself.
Totally.
The forest is this living, breathing entity.
It provides for them, but it's also super dangerous.
It is.
The descriptions, they describe the scent of pine needles and the damp moss, the rustling leaves. I mean, you can practically feel the forest come alive around you when you read those passages.
It's magical.
Yeah.
And I think that connection to nature is so important because it shows how these cats are part of something larger than themselves.
Yeah.
They're connected to the earth, to the seasons, to the cycle of life and death.
It's a reminder that even in this fictional world, you can't escape the laws of nature.
Nope, they apply to everyone.
Yeah. And it brings us back to those core themes of warriors, the loyalty, the belonging, and the struggle for survival. These cats, they may be fighting for territory, for power, for their very lives, but they're also fighting for something more. Like, what does it mean to be a part of this world? What is my purpose? What's my connection to something greater than myself?
Exactly. And that's what makes Warriors so much more than just a story about cats, right? It's a story about what it means to be alive, to face your fears.
To find your tribe.
Yeah, to find your people.
And to fight for what you believe in.
And even amidst all the conflict and betrayal, we see these moments of kindness and compassion that remind us that even in a world as harsh as this, there's always room for empathy and connection.
Yeah, remember when Firepaw is caring for Yellowfang even though she's, from a rival clan?
Yeah, and Greypaw risks getting punished to feed her.
It's like a little ray of sunshine breaking through the clouds. And it reminds us that even when things are really tough, kindness can make a difference.
Oh, it totally can. And that brings us back to you. As you've been listening, what's resonating with you the most? What are you finding most compelling about these excerpts?
I'm still reeling from that cliffhanger ending with Tigerclaw's deputy.
I know, right?
And it just feels like the calm before the storm.
It does.
Because we know about his treachery.
Yeah. And his true nature. It's a brilliant move, though, by Erin Hunter, just setting up all this delicious tension.
It is.
We're left wondering, will Firepaw be able to expose him? What will happen to the clan if Tigerclaw succeeds Blue Star?
Right?
And what role is this prophecy about fire going to play?
It feels like everything's just hanging in the balance.
It does.
And I'm really interested to see how Firepaw kind of navigates this whole situation because he's still just a young apprentice,
He is. He's finding his way.
Finding his way, and yet he's carrying this, burden of knowledge about Tigerclaw.
It's a heavy burden to bear.
It is. It's a lot for someone so young.
Yeah, and it makes you think about the challenges that young people face when they see injustice or corruption, even in their own communities.
That's true.
It's like, how do you speak up against that?
Yeah, how do you handle that?
Especially when it's someone in a position of authority.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a powerful parallel to draw. Firepaw represents that voice of conscience, that willingness to stand up and do what's right, even when it means, going against the grain.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder, how would you react in that situation?
Yeah, would you speak out against someone like Tigerclaw?
Would you challenge authority, even if it meant risking your own safety or reputation?
Those are big questions.
They are.
And I think Firepaw's journey is really inspiring.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not letting fear silence him. He's determined to protect his clan from this danger that's lurking within.
Yeah, he's not backing down.
No, he's not.
He's standing up for what he believes in.
And I think that's such a powerful message. It resonates with everyone, no matter how old you are or what you've experienced.
It's a reminder that we all have a role to play in making the world a better place.
Yes.
And sometimes that means being brave and speaking truth to power, even when it's hard.
Yeah, even when it's scary.
Even when it's risky.
And speaking of uncomfortable truths, we still don't know why Tigerclaw killed Redtail.
Yeah, that's a big question mark hanging over everything.
We know he did it, but what was his motive?
Right. Was it just pure ambition?
Yeah, was it something more?
Was there something else going on?
I need to know.
We need answers.
I think it speaks to how complex Tiger Claw is.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not just this villain twirling his mustache, wanting power just for the sake of power.
Yeah, there are layers to him.
There are.
And Erin Hunter is so good at slowly revealing those layers.
Yeah, it's like peeling back an onion.
It is.
With every book, we get another layer. We get a little more insight into his past.
His motivations.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, is redemption even possible for a cat like that?
Yeah, can he ever come back from this?
Or is he just going to be consumed by his ambition?
I don't know, but I'm dying to find out.
Me too. Can't wait to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah. And what about Ravenpaw?
Oh, Ravenpaw, what's going to happen to him?
He chose to be a loner, to live on his own, away from the clans and all the drama.
It's a solitary life.
It is. Do you think he'll be happy?
Yeah. Will he find peace as a loner?
Or will he get drawn back into clan life?
Yeah. He's loyal. He's brave.
He is.
He might feel compelled to help his friends.
He might. I mean, we know he's got a good heart.
He does.
And then what about WindClan?
Oh, my goodness, WindClan.
They just disappeared.
I know. What happened to them?
Are they going to come back?
So many unanswered questions.
Erin Hunter's keeping us in suspense.
She's a master of her craft, that's for sure.
She is. You know what I love about Warriors? It's not just one story. It's like this huge epic saga.
Yeah, it's a whole world.
Multiple threads, all these characters that are growing and changing, prophecies that are unfolding.
Yeah, it's like a tapestry.
It is. It's beautiful.
Each book adds more detail, more color, and it just gets richer and more intricate as it goes on.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes people want to keep reading,
Oh, for sure.
You get the adventure, you get the mystery, and you want to see how it all plays out.
It's a journey for the characters and for us as readers.
So true. And it's a journey that's full of surprises.
Oh, yeah.
And heartbreak.
Definitely.
And triumphs.
It's got it all.
It does. Well, we've explored the clans, we've talked about the prophecies, we've uncovered some pretty dark secrets.
We have.
What do you think is like the most significant takeaway from our deep dive into the wild?
I think for me, it's that even in a fictional world, even a world of cats, the choices that we make have consequences.
Yeah.
And those consequences ripple outwards.
They do.
They impact not just us, but everyone around us.
They do. That's so true. And it's also a reminder that even when things are tough, there's always room for courage and compassion and loyalty.
Yeah, they can shine through even in the darkest of times.
And that's a message worth holding on to even when we leave the world of warriors behind.
Beautifully said.
It's been such a pleasure diving into this with you.
Oh, likewise. I've had a great time.
And to all of you listening out there, what resonated with you today? What are you still thinking about? Let us know on social media. And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.